power of a single moment with One Mo Moment. Get ready to hear the pivotal moments that have shaped the lives of extraordinary individuals. From inspirational stories and professional breakthroughs to personal anecdotes and life-changing decisions, One Mo Moment uncovers the essence of what drives us forward. Listen to conversations with industry experts, creatives, and everyday heroes, each sharing their unique journeys and valuable insights. Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and moved, because one moment has the potential to change everything. Now here's your host of One Mo Moment, Mo Gerhardt.
Welcome to the One Mo Moment podcast, the show where we dive deep into pivotal life moments with extraordinary people who inspire us. Today, my guest is someone who Spartan fans definitely should know and someone I love and care about. Julia Ayrault, a former standout for the Michigan State women's basketball team. From her time lighting it up on the court in East Lansing to now training and mentoring the next generation of young athletes, Julia's story is one of grit, grace, and giving back. This conversation will be all heart, and you won't want to miss it. So welcome, Julia. And it's still, for me to say former Michigan State women's basketball athlete, that still seems a little odd. How does that make you feel?
I couldn't quite hear the last part, Mo, but thanks for saying all that, and thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be on here and getting the chance to talk to you and catching up. I love our friendship and our relationship we've built, and just excited to get some time to get to connect with you as well. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I was just saying, to say former Michigan State women's basketball athlete, that seems pretty foreign for me to still be saying that. So what's it like for you to hear that as opposed to current MSU women's basketball athlete?
Yeah, it's a little weird. I would say still kind of in the adjusting phases of navigating post Spartan play. So um, I'm liking it, but I definitely loved being a Spartan and loved getting to participate in college athletics. It was really awesome for me. I definitely already miss it a little bit, but just like you said as well, just looking forward to mentoring young athletes and kind of getting a chance to work with the younger people and help them to learn to love the game as much as I do and did and all the things. So it's definitely weird hearing it and definitely I think hasn't quite set in fully yet, but like I said, just excited to move forward and next chapter, it's just that's life and just moving forward with it honestly.
Yeah, and I can't wait to talk to you about that next chapter. You definitely are doing some amazing things right now, and we'll definitely get to that. But I want to actually go back and talk just about your childhood a little bit. You're also a twin. Your brother Joey, also, he was also with you at Michigan State. He was a team manager on the team. And so what was that like for you? Obviously, growing up with a twin, but then also being able to share your college basketball experience, together on the same team.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think not many people get to be blessed with seeing their sibling every day, especially not in college. Actually, the first 2 weeks of college, we didn't know Joe was going to do anything with the team, and I literally didn't see him once. And I'd gone from, being kind of connected with him all the time for 18 years to, man, where's my guy? So, yeah, we didn't see him for a little bit, and then I was like, this campus is huge because I just hadn't run into him, and we're both busy. And then once he decided to start working with the team and stuff, it was just a really great blessing. I mean, I got to spend so much time with him. He learned so many really valuable skills. Just got to be a part of it. And, he actually did some scout team stuff for us and got to make me better. So I appreciate him for that. And just all the time and energy and effort he put into our team and our program. It meant a lot to me, and just getting the chance to have some family around was really, really cool. So I loved it.
Yeah, basketball's really big in your family, and actually there's another set of twins you also have in your family, and your dad's coaching an assistant at Wayne State. So just talk a little bit as far as growing up in a big family, how much basketball was part of your lives, and where that love sort of initially started from.
Yeah, I would say growing up with two sets of twins was really, really fun. A lot of really good backyard 2v2 games, and definitely some of them didn't end too pretty, get competitive, but just really good. I mean, I think kind of like I mentioned earlier, not a lot of people get the opportunity to have, siblings who are the same age. And, we had two of us who were 4 years older than the other two and just kind of got to mix up teams here and there and girls versus boys, all the good things. But yeah, from a very young age, just got into basketball. And honestly, our parents were always super, super supportive of like, if you want to play, great. If you don't want to play, great. And I think that was something that really helped too, was just like, I never really felt pressure to keep playing or, you know, you never felt like we had to. It was almost like we get to if we want to, and if not, that's okay too. And I just think, looking back, I really am thankful for how my parents handled that because it just kind of was very freeing and very like, we're going to support you in what you want to do. And that's that. I think, they've obviously done an incredible job raising four kids, all really close in age, and just shout out to them and all the time, energy, effort, money, all the things that they've, put into us, and just love them a lot and definitely couldn't have done a lot of things without my siblings and my parents. So just appreciate them, and it was a really good vibe and energy growing up. So had a great childhood and all smiles and happy thoughts when looking back on it.
That's right. Now, they were both athletes too, if I'm not mistaken, right? At the college
Yep.
level.
Yeah, my mom and my dad both played at Wayne State as well, so they spent a lot of time together there on long bus rides and all the things. They both wore number 40 there as well, so that's kind of where that comes from. And both my siblings wear it now too, so it's just kind of a cool little connect. But yeah, they were both pretty good college athletes as well.
Interesting. I didn't know the 40 connection there, so that's
Yep.
definitely good to know, and actually foreshadows a little bit into some of our conversation that we'll have a little bit later here. Now, currently, as I mentioned, your dad's an assistant coach at Wayne State, and your sister plays there, and then your mom's a high school principal, correct?
Yeah, she's a K through 8 principal
K
actually,
through eight.
but
Okay.
yep, she is she's the boss around those parts.
Yep, and education obviously runs through your blood too, not just from a student aspect, but then your major while you were at Michigan State was also in education, wasn't it?
Yeah, so my undergrad was elementary ed, and then my master's is actually in education with children's literacy. So definitely some education things happening over here.
Now let's go back to just sort of like your high school years, and I want to talk about the recruiting process for a little bit. At that point with Michigan State, it was under Susie Merchant, who was the head coach, and her staff. Just explain a little bit what that recruiting process was like for you. How early on in the process did you connect with MSU and make that decision? And, what were some of the other competitors, I guess we'll say?
Yeah, so recruiting process for me was it was interesting. Like I remember getting a few like letters in the mail like pretty early on, like right before high school, and then um I think it was right after my freshman year of high school maybe, but just had a couple really good AAU tournaments, and I think that was kind of my turning point. Coach Merchant actually called me literally at like 7 a.m. following the Chicago EYBL tournament and offered me, and I remember being so amped up and just, as a Michigan kid, that's something you dream for. And um, I always kind of knew that I was a Michigan State girl. I was kind of born and raised a Spartan fan, so when that call came through, I was really excited, and obviously explored some different options, and then I just got to the point where I started comparing everything to here, and that was kind of my like moment of clarity where I was just like, if I'm enjoying different places, but I'm always like, but Michigan State has this. It's like, okay, what am I really doing? Like, is my mind already made up? And so right before my junior year, I came to campus for a visit and sat in Coach Merchant's office and told him I wanted to be a Spartan. And I just remember feeling like just, I didn't feel like from the recruiting process it was too stressful, just because I kind of tried to like enjoy it, but also not let it kind of impact my high school experience too much. I knew I wanted to play. I knew I was gonna figure it out as I went, but yeah, once I made that decision, I felt really good, and I was able to spend my last 2 years of high school and my last year of AAU just kind of playing, and it was a relief, and I just got to look forward to, I know my next step, and I'm excited about it, and was obviously just very fortunate to have a staff that believed in me and gave me the opportunity to come play here. So that was really awesome for me, and looking back, just really blessed and wouldn't change it for the world for sure.
What was your brother Joey? Then what was his sort of path then as you? Like how far along did he wait in that decision or was it soon after that? What was his sort of path as far as college was concerned?
Yeah, so Joe actually had a few college offers as well to go play basketball. And he was kind of going back and forth with it, and he just decided it was going to be best for him to, just go to school and focus on that. And I'm honestly really proud of him for making that decision because I know it's not an easy one. And sorry, I just think for him to make that decision for what was best for him, I just respect it, and I think it's really cool. And like I said, I know it wasn't an easy one, but kind of I would say later, a little bit later on, probably senior year, he was leaning more towards going to MSU and you know getting to be around me a little bit, and I just can't thank him enough because I think my college experience was way better because of it, of course, and um, hopefully he would say the same. I'm not sure, but um, yeah, it was just awesome and just really cool to have him around. And a lot of our friends from high school also went here. So just a little bit of a family outside of basketball as well, which was really nice. Kind of an outlet to have some different people around because you're with your basketball peeps a lot. So it was really cool to have them and be able to have friends and stuff outside of it.
Thinking back to that freshman year, what was the biggest transition of going from a high school basketball player to a Division I Power Five school, playing college basketball?
Well, if you don't mind, I'll share a little story with you that I think sums up that question perfectly. I came in at about 155 pounds. I was 6'1", 155, and I was tiny. It was one of my very first practices. It might have even been like a pickup open gym type of thing. And I remember I was guarding the ball, and somebody was setting a screen on me. I can't remember who, but all I remember is Shay Colley grabbing me by like my hip or waist and just lifting me what felt like over the screen. And I had a moment where I was just like, oh, like these are strong females. Like this is not, this is not high school basketball anymore. And I just remember laughing with Shay after. I'm like, did you just lift me over that screen? And she's just laughing. She's like, you had to get over. Let's go. You're guarding the ball. And I'm just like, wow, this is a different ball game. But just athletes like that. Just playing with Nia Clouden, I think, was another thing that sticks out in my mind. Was just like, oh man, like these athletes are athletes. Like Taryn, I obviously really enjoyed playing with her, her wisdom, getting to talk to her about, just college in general. She helped me so much, and the mental side of just the adjustment piece. And I was very lucky. I had some good seniors that when I came in were just really welcoming and helped me a lot with the transition. So I just remember kind of being like, whoa, the first time out there, you're like, oh, this is a different type of basketball, but it's good. But yeah, all the people I would say help so much because you don't know until you know, and just getting the opportunity to work with some of them who have kind of been there and done that, and they helped a ton. And obviously Shay's still playing and killing it, Nia too, and just I still stay in touch with Taryn all the time, and she's been great. Just, she'll send me her snippets from her writing and stuff recently, and it's amazing. She is so smart. It's actually crazy. But yeah, just things like that really stick out in my mind. It's more, the people and how much they impacted me that stands out so vividly, especially from freshman year.
Yeah, you mentioned Taryn. I'm also really close with her, and actually, that's someone I should probably get on this podcast. You mentioned her writings, and it's crazy. They'll just like hit your heart, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like just feel her voice in those writings. It's
Oh
so
yeah.
deep, and she's just doing amazing things right now with her art and her writing, and someone too that just Michigan State fans, can be proud to say that was part of that Spartan family. So now thinking back to that freshman year, I know we sort of got it to get close that year, your freshman year, and then that summer, that sticks out in my head so distinctly. That summer in between your freshman and sophomore year. You mentioned Nia Clouden, who, the star guard for Michigan State, went on, played in the WNBA, still playing professional basketball. Now, what I remember from that summer was the level of your game had raised so high in that summer. Your confidence, just sort of where you were mentally, like you said, the physical game, the conditioning of having a year in the Big Ten. I honestly felt, and I remember telling people, I felt that summer watching the workouts, watching the pickup games, all that you were the best player on the team. And as I said, that confidence was riding high. But then that's when that fall, the injury bug for the very first time sort of came up and bit you. If you don't mind sort of talking about your thoughts of how you were playing that summer and then what it was like, to go through the injury that you did.
Yeah, of course. Honestly, kind of like you were saying, in which I really appreciate that. I don't think I was the best player. I think I definitely had shifted my game quite a bit, but um, yeah, I had felt great. I mean, another shout out to Dean. Just he was awesome. I mean, we spent so much time together that summer. Just really just getting myself to a place where I felt like I could compete and be a part of something. And yeah, I was definitely in the best shape I'd ever been in. I knew I had put more work in than I ever had in my life. Obviously, as we previously mentioned, been working with some really great seniors and players on the team that just helped me a ton. And yeah, I got myself to a place mentally where I felt like, okay, like this feels a little bit better than last summer, and I can do some different things. I feel a little quicker, catching up to the speed of the game and all the different things. And then, yeah, first week of practice, caught the ball on the right wing. Probably have done that millions of times in my life. Pushed off, and I describe it as I literally felt like my ankle tape ripped like up the center of my foot. And I just kind of sat there for a second, and I was like, that's weird. Like Luann's gonna have to retape me. I don't know. Like, and I kind of sat there and I turned over and I was like, oh no, like something doesn't feel right. And yeah, like you mentioned, I had never had like the most I had done to my legs was like a rolled ankle, and obviously those stink too. But um, didn't have any knee problems or any things like that. So when I did it, I didn't really know what I was feeling. I just knew that something hurt, and went to get x-rays and stuff, and they're like, good news, we don't see anything. And I'm like, okay. And actually went back to the training room and was just kind of waiting on more results and getting like an MRI scheduled and stuff. And um, Nick Ritchie, who's the men's athletic trainer, and then Luann Jefferson, who's ours, called me into the office, and they were like, because I don't know enough about what's going on, so when I hear nothing on the X-ray, I'm like, okay, like great, like that sounds good to me. I must have just tweaked, something, I don't know.
Yep.
And they called me into the office and they're like, the fact that we don't see anything on the X-ray is probably not good. And I'm like, whoa, guys, like, don't make any assumptions, like. And they actually told me before we even got the MRI that they were pretty sure that I had tore my Liz Frank, and it was pretty obvious once they kind of explained to me what the injury looks like and kind of what symptoms you may have, I guess you could say. And I had all of them. I mean, my foot was as big as could be. I had a bruise on the bottom of my foot, like right in the center, and they were like, that's usually the telltale sign. So yeah, I eventually, I'm still, of course, in denial. Like, you guys don't know, like, it's not that. And sure enough, got the MRI, and literally less than a week later, I was in Green Bay for my first surgery. And um, I'm probably going into too much detail about all that backstory, but just kind of that adjustment from like feeling like you're in the best shape of your life, and you just like that your summer was, you worked harder than you've ever had, and then for week one of practice, literally the first week to just go down, it's just like it makes you question so many things, like, okay, what was all that for? Like, what was I doing? And I think the biggest thing I learned is like, you can't sit and ask why, because you just you're gonna drive yourself crazy for one, and two, you're just gonna like you're always gonna wonder why, and you're probably never gonna have a reason why. Like when I went to the doctor out in Green Bay, he was like, I'm not gonna lie, it's more of a football injury, and I've really never seen somebody do it on a push off. Like it's just weird, and I was just like, oh, good. Like that still makes me feel not that better, but it's just like it's kind of just like it's one of those things that it happened, and looking back, I always tell people when they ask about it, like, how was that time? And I'm just like, it was terrible. Like I was missing basketball. I was obviously upset, and it's definitely a process, but looking back on it, I wouldn't have had an extra year. And, it's the same thing with COVID. Like, that time was horrible for everybody involved, but looking back, I had 2 extra years of time in playing college basketball that I never would have had without those really hard things. And it's just like in the moment you don't know why, and you don't really understand like why are these hard things happening, but there's always a plan for everything. And I get to look back and say those things were really hard, but they gave me extra time, and I met some really great people with my extra time and things like that. It's just like looking back, I feel so blessed that those things happened when they did, because I was able to stay longer and just be around it more and get more time to play basketball for the school that I love. So it's just it's a lot of contradicting thoughts, but once you get through it, it's so clear. Like it's just, and it's weird because you can't really see through it at first, but once you do, it's a beautiful thing.
Have you been able to take that experience and utilize some of that like mental resilience, overcoming the doubts, the fears, heartaches, heartbreaks to other parts of your life? I know we've both sort of gone through some things recently, but as going through that at a relatively young age, you're still just a teenager, was that something that has been able to give you faith in overcoming some experiences?
Yeah, I would say it's given me a lot of just like honestly just keeping an open mind and knowing that like sometimes life is gonna life and it's gonna be hard, and you're gonna be like, what is going on? But there's always a plan and a silver lining and all the things about moving forward. These things were meant to happen, and it is very difficult at times, and you're just questioning like, okay, if these things are meant to happen, like why? Like, and like I said earlier, you're gonna drive yourself nuts trying to figure out the whys. When you know the whys, you're gonna know, and you're gonna look back and be like, this is why. Like this right here is why that happened. And it's hard, but I think it's definitely helped me to just realize that if things, one of my cousins, it's just a random thought, but he always says that life happens to you. Life happens for you, not to you. And I think that that is so good, because it's just like you can sit and think, why are these things happening to me? Why do these things keep happening to me? But it's like these things are happening for me, whether I realize it or not. And I love when he says that, because I'm just like, that is so like just
Yeah, it's pretty
wise. And
profound.
yeah, it's just like it's just a good perspective, and it just makes you think like these life is happening for me, not to me. Like, and sometimes I just would say that to myself, and remind myself like it's gonna be all right one way or another, and you just keep pushing. And we always talk about, I know Mo, like waking up one day is it's a blessing in itself. Like we get to be here, we get to do things. Like it's just different perspective, and I just appreciate when he says that, because it's just like you're right. Like you can think about it as I'm the victim and these things are happening, but you can also think these are happening for me, whether I want to believe it or not.
Yeah, so that rehab process, obviously a grueling one, ups and downs just through that process. But let's fast forward to a year following that injury, and now you're back on the court, being able to play basketball again. But I know mentally that your second year, sophomore year of eligibility, that was a difficult one in just that your body wasn't able to do what it had that previous summer. And talk a little bit about that year number two of playing, and some of those frustrations and maybe doubts that also crept into your mind.
Yeah, I would say just taking a year off in general is really hard. I think taking a year off in college is kind of one of those things that's just like it's hard to get caught back up. And I was, my body was slowly but surely getting better, but I just felt like felt off. Like it was just like I'm a step behind, or I just feel like something doesn't feel exactly right. And it's just kind of this constant like battle with, am I ever gonna feel like I did pre-injury, and um yeah, it took forever, but eventually I would say probably almost another year after being hurt did I finally feel like physically where I was prior to injury. Um, but once I got to that point, it was really just figuring out, okay, my body can do it. It is capable. Now, can my mind believe that I can still do it? And I was talking about Dr. Molly a lot. She was like sports psych here for a few years. She helped me a ton with just, reframing my thinking, reframing my brain to, trusting myself again, trusting my body again. I think, post injury, sometimes you think about certain movements that, is this going to hurt me? Am I going to, it's just a kind of a mental trick, like where you're just like, I feel okay, but I am scared that this might happen again. It's just, it's weird. It's a weird feeling, but yeah, just getting over that hump and kind of that mental aspect of like, okay, I physically can do it, and now can I believe that I can do it? Because it's a lot of what goes on in your brain is what's going to help you, and if you can get that confidence back and those thoughts back of I am capable and I can do this, that's I think more than half the battle in my opinion is just getting yourself to that place of clarity and trusting yourself again, really.
Yep. So now you get yourself physically back, you get yourself mentally back, and then we get into COVID. And it's a whole new for everyone, something that no one could ever really have imagined. And then the whole season where the postseason play was canceled, and then going into that next year where there's no fans. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I mean it was super weird. It was just so different, and I'm used to Michigan State, ton of fans. Obviously good energy from everybody, and the environment of the Breslin Center is I think unmatched. And you go to we have cardboard cutouts of everybody in the stands, and it was weird. I mean, I feel very lucky that I was here and got to still participate in sports and stuff because I know with the shutdown and everything, people were really just locked up and at their homes, and we were fortunate enough to have testing every day and be here. And um, I think that helped me a ton because although it wasn't normal, it was at least some type of like schedule, and we're around people. And I honestly think so highly of everybody that was, just unable to be around people because I couldn't have done it. I think I'm too much of I need the interaction, I need the schedule, I need, all the things. And so I feel really lucky that I was here at the time because although it was super weird and was hard and all the things, it was just, we still had each other, and that was really cool. And like I said earlier, I think although it was really hard and weird and I didn't see my family as much and all the things, I wouldn't have had extra time here, with that extra COVID year. So, it's just same exact thing, just weird things happening, but they're happening for a reason, I think.
It's crazy, even as I'm replaying this in my head, as I go back year by year, within your college career. It's like you could almost just do a full podcast just on each individual year because now freshman year transition, a great summer, then an injury, rehab, back going through the mental doubts, getting yourself prepared to play again. Then we go through COVID, and then we get through COVID, but then it's a coaching change, a whole nother new chapter, a whole other new story. Like I said, a new coach, Coach Robin Fralick coming into the MSU program, and especially with the landscape of college athletics right now, there were some opportunities for you. You could have gone someplace else, but there was really a core set of players there for the women's team. I would say yourself, Tori Osment, Mo Joyner, the three of you all decided to stay and remain with the MSU women's basketball program, and everyone, all three of you graduated, finished your careers. But what was that like? Now you finally get yourself back, and now all of a sudden you have a whole new coaching staff come in where they really don't know necessarily everything that you've had to go through for those previous 3 years.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of like a weird thing because it's almost like you're transferring, but like not actually transferring because it's just everything's different. And um, honestly, for me, like transferring was something that I don't have anything against it. Like I think the portal and people finding somewhere else that's a better fit for them is a great thing. I think if used right, I think it can be something that's really beneficial for so many players. But just for me, I was so like not against it for myself, but I had this overwhelming feeling of like this is where I chose to be, and like that's a decision that I made that I want to stick out and see through and kind of just trust that, like we're talking about earlier, just I made that decision for a reason. And so that wasn't really something I ever thought of. I think when the coaching change happened, I definitely was like, okay, uh-oh, like either way, I'm kind of starting over, like whether that be in a new place or whether that be here. And, obviously my heart is here and my desire and my passion and everything is with Michigan State. So, it wasn't a hard decision for me, but I definitely kind of pondered like, okay, this is going to be different regardless. So let's, what do I want to do? And I just was like, I love it here. I want to stick around and see what happens. And obviously got to meet Coach Freilich and her staff and was just, I've heard obviously all great things about them. So just was like, let's dive in and give it a chance. And obviously it helped that other players on the team at the time were interested in sticking around and um, kind of just we kind of made a pact like, are we gonna do it? And we're all just like, yeah, let's try it out, let's see how it goes. And obviously so thankful that we all did because it's been great. And just have it's been a smooth transition, and I got to stay here, which was really really good for me. And obviously I'm so thankful for that because like I said, I just love it here. I love being a Spartan. So just was able to kind of stick around and experience a whole new staff and everything, which was good.
Yeah, you mentioned your teammates. I want to dive a little deeper into that because it wasn't just yourself. Like I said, there was sort of that core group of you guys that decided to stay. So how much conversation was there between you? Obviously, it's an individual decision, but your teammates, in many ways, they're also your family. They become your sisters, lifelong connections there. And so, how much did that impact, if any, your decision? And like I said, how much of a conversation was that between you?
Yeah, I think obviously we all kind of wanted to navigate our own, thoughts and um kind of decision making. We all kind of wanted to think about, what was best for ourselves, but also what could potentially be best for the team. And even, you mentioned a few names, but also like Darren and Abby, who were pretty
Yeah.
young, but they decided to stick around as well. Just, everybody that made that choice and, kind of decided to dive in and give it a try. I think, the more people that I talked to that were like, I'm gonna stay, like, just point blank, I'm gonna stay. Like, I think that was just so awesome because I'm just like, let's do it. Like, we believe in what we have here, and we believe that, you know, we'll be able to do some really special things together. And I think that was such a cool, conversation piece that we always had was like, you know, this might be new and different and challenging, but we have each other and we've known each other for a while now, and let's just see how it goes. And um, yeah, it made the decision for me so much easier because I knew, my pals were all going to be here, and we're going to all go through that transition together as well, which helped a ton. So yeah, I think it was really cool, and obviously good conversations with, we know we can do something special. Let's try and let's see what happens. So it was a cool transition thing. But just appreciate all of them obviously for, you know wanting to stick around too, because I think it made my life a whole lot easier.
Yeah, new coaching staff, obviously, that means new philosophies, new coaching style, new leadership styles. But how much do you think the fact that there was that core group of Spartans helped Coach Freilich in her transition coming in from Bowling Green, from the MAC conference to the Big Ten, having basically that core of Spartans really also help her understand what that philosophy of being a Spartan and what that culture within the program that had been developed over, the course of multiple generations of athletes. How much do you think that also helped her transition?
Yeah, I think obviously Coach Freilich is from Okemos area, so she kind of had a pretty good grasp of what it means to be a Spartan. I think she was raised a Spartan fan, and so I think she had a gist of it. And then when she got here, I think she could definitely tell that all of us were really passionate about this place, and there's a certain pride that comes with being a Spartan and being a lifelong Spartan, and um, I think she really appreciated that. I think I kind of have talked about it a lot of times before, but um, one of the first things when my very first meeting with Coach Freilich, she was like, "Okay, who are you? Like, what's going on? Like, who are you? What have you done? What are some of the things you've experienced? And I want to get to know you as a person, and we'll worry about the basketball thing later." And that just really stuck out to me because I was like, "Okay, this is somebody that's coming to a whole new place. She's transitioning herself. She's got all new people around, and her main focus was how do I get to know these players in a way that makes them feel like I really value and care about our relationship." And that was really cool. I think she did a really great job of that, and I think that made all of us a lot closer. Um, and I think that only added to the Spartan pride that we already had and had developed. I just think she kind of opened those doors for more connection with each other and also with her and the rest of her staff. So it was really cool. And I think that only, like I said, just boosted that Spartan pride and Spartan connection in a lot of ways.
We've mentioned all the different sort of chapters that occurred, as your time as a Spartan, but then once again, Coach Freilich comes in, and then you end up having to go under a position change, and not just a small position change. You mentioned your size when you came in as a freshman, 6'1", 150, 155, labeled as a guard, known for the outside shot, ball handling, and what happens but injuries, as they do in sports, rock the team a little bit, and you end up being moved to the center position. Now, like I said, in basketball, that's about as drastic as you can get going from guard to center, but it was actually something that you thrived and excelled at before it was all said and done. What was that like for you, especially that conversation with Coach Freilich when that sort of became the reality based on other player injuries?
Yeah, Coach Freilich, we had some people go down pretty early season. It was not fun, but like you said, unfortunately, those things do happen. And I remember it so vividly before one of the practices. And again, I'm still kind of getting to know them and getting to know their system and all the different things. And I remember Coach Frida came up to me and she was like, "What do you think about playing the five?" And I was like, "The five? Like the five?" Like I just was like, "What do you mean?" And we still laugh about it to this day because I was so like I can't, there's no way I'm not big enough. I'm not, I haven't done a whole lot of post stuff. Like all the excuses I probably could have thought of and said I did, and I was just Coach Freilich, like, are you sure? Like not questioning her, but just like, is this gonna work? Like how am I gonna do that? Like just all the things that you kind of think about. And like you mentioned, I was pretty like just small coming out of high school. I was tall but I was small, and played a lot of like point guard or two guard in high school, which I think everybody does, but then got moved to kind of 2-3 here and then kind of to the four, and then all of a sudden boom on my five. I'm like, what is going on? Like but eventually it got to that point where I was just like, okay, let's try it. Like, and Coach Ray like really, the way she kind of just let me still do the things that I knew I could do and was good at was really, really cool, because I think, she didn't expect me to just go down there and kind of big body with the big posts and try and drop step and score layups the whole time. It was really just more finesse, like a lot of pick and pop stuff, a lot of, driving and pull ups. I was in a ton of ball screens and just making reads off of help and just things like that. And um, I think it was great. I loved it. Once I got into it and kind of started to figure it out, I would say the first few weeks were a little rough. I was, just overthinking and, trying to figure out, okay, where am I supposed to be? How do I get out of the way of the point guards and just things like that. And, they just let me grow in it and let me figure it out. Again, Dean was a huge help with just different moves that I could do against bigger players. Knowing when to pull bigger posts out and do more perimeter stuff. I mean, it was all just kind of based off of what, who was guarding me was going to be able to do. And there were times where I had some size on people and, just different things. And I think they just did such a tremendous job of saying, we trust you to figure this out. And, we're also going to let you do really perimeter stuff as a five. And I think that was something that, like, obviously people were doing, but it was just a little bit different. And I think it helped with our spacing and stuff. And I was still able to do really guard stuff. So it was really fun. I loved it. Um, and obviously, Coach Fralick knew what she was doing when she asked me to do that. And so I just, appreciate them letting me grow in that and kind of learning a different spot. But yeah, it was funny. I was like, the five, that's gonna be new, but it ended up working out really well.
Yeah, you mentioned, you sort of had the length, not necessarily the size. So it's not like she made you play, as they say, bully ball or booty ball or anything like that. But one of the things I think it did allow on the defensive side, it really allowed you to showcase your shot blocking abilities. I think that had always been something that was there for you. You had that uncanny ability to have the timing and that sort of coordination. It was actually something before it's all said and done where you really climbed up on the all-time blocks record list there at Michigan State. How much enjoyment did it give you, to be able to showcase that blocking ability?
Yeah, well, my high school coach, Coach Bennett, and then both my college coaches and staffs are not the biggest fan of it all the time because I think in high school I really learned how to do it because I was a little bit slower defensively and I just learned how to time it up if I was beat and try and block it. Which again, my high school coach, Coach Bennett, if you're listening, he would always be so mad because he said you can't just count on a block shot every time to bail you out. You got to be stay in front and guard the ball and things like that. And just looking back, it's just funny because I really did learn it out of necessity because I was a slower defender, and I think it's interesting now. Playing against post players, it was a little bit easier because I wasn't playing in space as much, and so it was more of just timing on shots. Looking at their eyes, looking at their movements, trying to time up blocks, and um, yeah, that year when I was playing more five, I definitely had quite a few more block shot opportunities, which was fun for me. But I'm sure Coach Freilich and them didn't exactly love it all the time. But yeah, it's just something I had to practice, I think, out of necessity, and then ended up kind of carrying over into college.
So we get through the injury, we get through COVID, we get through a position change, and you're feeling you really like your game there. You said you really started to enjoy being at the five, and we mentioned transferring. Well, MSU actually had a player transfer in, Grace Van Sluten, that had a lot of those similar attributes as far as the length down low, not necessarily the same type of outside shooting that you possess now after you've gone through that transition and gotten comfortable at the five. Now you're asked to go back out again and do more shooting on the perimeter. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, it was good. Like you said, Grace is incredible. I mean, she just won her third gold medal a few weeks ago. She is truly one of the hardest workers I have ever been around. She's just got it. She's if you talk about work ethic and just determination to make stuff happen, she's got it. I mean, she can do a Dean Lockwood workout. I'll tell you, she can crush one of those. But she's an incredible player, incredible person, and when she was committing and everything, I was super fired up and just excited to get the chance to play with her, and it was really fun. I think the two of us together getting to play with her was awesome. I think I was happy to play more four. I was happy to we did a lot of things where we were pretty interchangeable and kind of just whoever gets down there first go ahead and post up. So it was a little bit different, but I wouldn't say it was too drastic. I was definitely down in the post a little bit less, but um it was just great. I mean, I think just her being here is really cool. I think um she's going to have another great season, obviously, coming up here. But just, getting to play with her was awesome. I think she's obviously super talented. She's got a great build. She can run in transition. So lots of praise and positive things to say about her, obviously. But and props to Coach Freilich and them for getting her here. But yeah, she's been awesome, and I loved, kind of the mix and mingle thing with, getting to play some 4 and 5 last year. It was fun. I got to do a little bit of both, and um, yeah, I got to, do something I was really used to, and then still play some 5, and it was a good little dynamic, and it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
So between all your years of eligibility, you also throw in, like I said, the COVID year, you've got the injury redshirt year, just the whole landscape of college athletics from when you came in as an entering freshman to just this past spring, finishing up that eligibility. So much has changed from what things looked like at that point to where they are now, the biggest. We know we had mentioned things within the transfer portal, but obviously the biggest that people hear about is the NIL or name, image, and likeness opportunities. What's been your perspective as far as seeing that develop to where it is right now?
Yeah, it's funny. I just was actually talking. One of the girls I've been training was kind of asking me the similar question, but I think for me, I had a pretty unique experience with it. My freshman and sophomore year, it was not a thing at all. There was like murmurs of it, but it just didn't. It wasn't a thing, and you were on scholarship, and that was that was the best thing ever because your school's paid for, and you're leaving college with no debt, and um, then it kind of moved into my middle 2 years were kind of like it was a thing, but everybody was pretty much getting the same amount. And, we did some deals with the credit union and things like that. And honestly, that was a really, really good thing. And obviously, the credit, MSU, FCU credit union, they've been insane. They've been super awesome and super supportive, especially with female athletics. But yeah, that was kind of a good situation because it was like we're getting some money and some extra, incentives and stuff, but it's not, anything crazy, and we're all pretty equal, so it's great. Like all's good. And then my last 2 years, it kind of got into that, the stages you're talking about now, where, it's there's some, I don't even really know what's going on now, but it's just I think it's a lot, and it's different, and I think people are gonna obviously transfer and do different things based off of it, and I think for me getting to experience kind of life before when it didn't exist, I think that was the best time, especially just because I mean, there's a different type of pride and appreciation for you're playing for your school and you are on scholarship, and that's incredible. And I think now it's gotten to a point where it's almost just like it's never going to be enough, I don't think. And I think people are just going to be constantly chasing that next, and in their defense, why would they not? Like if there's more money and more opportunity somewhere, all power to you. But I just think, for me, getting to experience it, when it wasn't really a thing, and obviously I appreciate, of course, NIL and, all the things that it's helped me with, and just getting to be a part of it, for the time that I did, of course, I appreciate it more than I can even express. Like, I want to make that very clear too, but I think it has gotten to a point where it's just kind of hard, and it's just I don't know how it's sustainable, I would say, because I just think, like I said, it's just always going to roll over to, okay, what more can I get? What more can I do? And I just think that puts athletes in a spot where they're not as focused on, okay, I get to play basketball for school and leave the school with no education debt and, things like that. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I think it's very great for, for people. It's helped a ton of people financially. I have so many positive things and so many like things to say. I think it's mixed feelings, but obviously just very appreciative of it and for it and all the things. But it definitely is. It's a slippery slope, I would say, Mo. It is.
Would you say there's parallels there to even just sort of growing up, whereas as a kid, we always just want to be older. We want to have those responsibilities. We want to have the job, all these things. To when all of a sudden you get those opportunities and you're like, you know what? Being a kid really wasn't all that bad. So maybe some of those same parallels as far as NIL making you grow up a little bit faster than, what necessarily you initially set out to do, as you mentioned. Having that sort of mindset of wanting to chase, something bigger and better.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's just kind of like you're saying. It's just you're when you're a kid, you're always wanting to be older and smarter and all the things, and then you get there and you're like, this wasn't as good as I expected it to be. And yeah, I think it's very similar to that for sure.
Did you notice any dynamic changes in the locker room, and not asking you to get into any specifics or names or anything like that? Just the way those team dynamics behind the scenes. Did you notice a difference that last year where NIL had really exploded compared to when you were a freshman with no NIL, or even in those middle years where it was basically sort of an equal opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for the most part, obviously, one of the biggest things with it is just kind of like if you don't talk about, you know, kind of what's going on behind the scenes money wise, I think you can do pretty good. I think it's just, you have to be able to make sure it's kind of not really a topic of discussion. And I think this past season we did a pretty good job of just staying removed from it. And like, I'm sure people knew that, there was probably some people making more than others, but I think we did a really good job of just that's none of our business. Like we just got to kind of move forward in a way that's we're a team and we're all here to accomplish the same thing. And I think it's easier said than done, but yeah, just kind of not avoiding the conversation, but knowing that that's something that we don't really need to talk about. And I think just kind of steering clear of kind of the awkwardness of discrepancies and different amounts and all the things, I think really helped us a lot. And that's another thing, props to Coach Freilich and them. They just kind of said, like, this is something you guys shouldn't really be discussing. And, if you have any questions, come to us with it and that type of thing. Because I think like I said earlier, it's a slippery slope. And I think if you get too caught up in worrying about what other people are doing or making, I think it can cause a lot of problems. So I think we did a really good job of kind of just steering clear of those conversations and being supportive of each other in a way that, we're all here for the same goals and the same thing. So I think that's something that did stand out to me was we did do a good job of just moving forward as a unit.
What was the impact of social media during your time at MSU? Not necessarily from a branding standpoint or even NIL situation, but just as a young adult growing up, everything being so public. I know you had social media accounts. I also know you weren't someone that was attached at the hip to your social media accounts, but just what was that like? And even to this day, what's that been like, sort of being in the public eye and people saying whatever they want?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a thing. I've seen some pretty ruthless things out there on social media, but yeah, like you said, I was never really too attached to it in a way where I'm like reading comments or looking up myself on Twitter or something to see what people are saying. But um, I think it's definitely a thing that can be impactful. I remember like very vividly after the Iowa game, not this past season, but the year before when we lost on the buzzer beater from Clark. That was like one of those times where we all just were like, we gotta stay off social media for like a few days until this cools off. Cause I mean, people are just ruthless. And, it wasn't like, we did anything wrong or anything. It was just a close game. We lost on a tough shot. And, people definitely had some interesting things to say. I think I got called just about every name in the book and just things like that. It's just like, it is impactful, but it's also like you have to remind yourself that these are people that are sitting behind a screen that are too scared to say things in real life. They can say whatever they want because they're a fake account and they're behind a screen, probably sitting on a couch somewhere. And, we're out here doing really hard things. And you just got to remind yourself that, not everybody's opinions and takes matter. And I do think it's hard. And, you want to see positive things about yourself, but the reality is, there's a lot of people with a lot of things to say, and it's just a matter of kind of what you do with it. You know, it's hard not to pay attention to all that, but just kind of trying to stay focused on just playing and doing what you can and trying to avoid those kind of comments and conversations for sure, I would say.
All right, so now let's come to the present. Life after MSU, which once again that seems as for as long as that journey was, here we are now actually in that post MSU life. You mentioned or we talked a little bit about your education degrees, obviously your passion and experience with basketball, and now you're sort of combining both of those together and really working with some youth and giving back. Tell people what you're up to right now.
Yeah, so I actually just started my own LLC called 40 for 40 Basketball, which I'm super excited about. This was pretty much week 2 for me, so still kind of in the beginning stages, but just super amped up and excited about it. I've had probably about 20 sessions so far in the last 2 weeks, which is pretty good. Just getting rolling and got to work with a lot of really cool people so far. Just been able to kind of people from the area, people from far away. I had a girl from who's living in Virginia now who happened to be in town
Oh,
for
wow.
her sister was playing volleyball camp here and they swung through Lansing and gotten a couple sessions with her last week and it's been really cool. Just getting to meet different people. I like you mentioned, I have the education background and I've always wanted to be kind of a teacher and this is kind of teaching but in a different form. Um, but I've been loving it. I mean, I had a great workout this morning with the girl who's going to play at Kalamazoo, so that was pretty awesome. And just getting to, like I said, meet different people, work with young kids, and kind of hopefully inspire them to feel and continue their love for the game that I have. So, um, yeah, it's been awesome, and looking forward to keeping that rolling and getting some more people and some workouts and getting to hang out with more really awesome people. So I'm loving it and it's been good to get it started so far.
Well, you've lived life not just on the court, but also the game off the court. And so I'm curious, within your sessions, how much do you talk about beyond the game, that what's bigger than basketball, or their mindset, the preparation, your values? How does that all connect into your sessions?
Yeah, that's a good question. I had a couple people, the other day where I have a little section on my where they fill out the like to schedule a training basically and it says give any insight you'd like to that you think can help with our session. Basically, it's just kind of an open-ended like any information I should know about your athlete. It's typically the parents that fill it out because if you're under 18, I like to just keep the parents all the things. But yeah, some of the parents will say, "Hey, my kid's really been struggling with confidence. Can you work on that with them and can you talk with them about it?" And I'm like, "That's perfect." Like that helps me so much because going into the training, I'm like, "Okay, I know that we're gonna work hard and we're gonna get better at basketball, but how can I now approach this athlete in the sense of, okay, we got to work on your confidence. We got to work on what's going on up here. Dean Lockwood always says the most important person you talk to every day is yourself. And that has stuck with me so much because it's like, oh my gosh, like you're so right. Like you talk to yourself more than you talk to anybody else cuz all those thoughts that are swirling in your head and all the things you're thinking about is like what am I actually telling myself and then what am I believing? So, that's been something I've been trying to kind of focus on with some of these athletes is like, okay, what are you telling yourself? Like, are you telling yourself positive things when you're making a mistake? The first thing I tell every single client that walks into the gym, I say, listen, I don't care if the ball goes flying over there. I don't care if you throw it over the backboard. I don't care if you lose it when you're dribbling. I don't care if you airball. I don't care if you miss. I don't care about any of that. Guess what? Life's gonna go on, we're gonna move on, and we're not even gonna remember that happened when the next training starts. Like, I just try and remind them that, like, mistakes are going to happen. Basketball is built on mistakes happening, people scoring off a mistake, people stealing off a mistake, people, like, basketball is literally a game full of mistakes, or else it wouldn't be fun to watch. Like, and I just try and tell my athletes, like, I don't care if you come into a training and mess up the entire time. We're just here to get better, have fun. I'm gonna put some tunes on, and we're just gonna play some basketball. Like, and I think that starts the training off with such like a lighter kind of feeling, whereas the athletes aren't like, okay, I want to perform well in this training. I'm like, no, if you mess up, if you kick the ball, I don't care. We're just here to. I got another ball right here. Let's do it. Like, it's just things like that, and I think that was something I really struggled with. Obviously, throughout my entire career of playing was just letting go of mistakes and like knowing that it's really gonna be okay, and like in the future, no one's gonna remember if you airballed at Penn State in the second quarter with 7 minutes left. I might remember it. I still am citing the time of the game and where it was, but nobody else does. Like, and so that's something I've been really focused on with them is just, you know, be you and be confident and try your hardest and walk away from it and know I gave this hour of work my best. The mistakes that happened, and next week we're gonna start fresh and more mistakes are gonna happen. So that's kind of been where I'm at, and I think it really clicks with some of them. You see their face kind of light up, like, okay, like it doesn't actually matter if I mess up in this workout. Like, I just try and remind them, like, I really actually don't care. Like, I don't care. I'm just here to help you get better and spend some time with you and send you on your way to enjoy the rest of your summer day. So it's been really fun, and yeah, that's definitely been a focus with some of the athletes for sure.
What do you think young athletes, what do they need the most today? It's different from when you were the age of the kids that you're training right now. What do you see? I know it's only been a couple weeks, but what are you seeing that, like I said, these young athletes need most?
Um, Kind of like we're just talking about, just like the biggest thing is like almost not self belief, but just like trust that the time and the effort and the things that they've put into playing it matters. And I think for the most part I would say like almost community too. Like when I get a small group in there, of young girls that are all from the same area and they're like passionate about getting better together and getting to work out with a group that they're going to then go to high school and play with, like that's so cool because it's just like they're excited and they are like, these are girls I'm going to play with for the next 5-6 years of rest of middle school and high school. And it's just, I think just that excitement. And I think the girls, and the boys that have come in have been just excited to be there. And I think that is there, but I do think for like that, those ages and kind of the younger athletes just being excited about it and not feeling like it's like this dreadful thing. I think, basketball at the end of the day is a game that we all love, and that gets lost sometimes, I think. But once you can remind yourself that this is something I do and it's not who I am, is just this really cool thing of this is a fun game that I get to participate in, and it's a fun kid like thing I used to do as a kid and love as a kid. And how do you then like, okay, I'm still having fun playing a sport that's just fun, like that's kind of been another focus of mine is just like how do I make things fun for these athletes? It shouldn't, I don't think basketball should ever be something that doesn't feel fun, because at the end of the day it's fun and it's a game and it's a sport and it's literally just fun. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just, it's something we get to do and get to participate in. And when you really open your eyes to the big perspective, I sometimes would tell myself, like, how silly is it that we put all these things into throwing a ball through a ring that's 10 feet off the ground? Like, and in the reality, like, that is what basketball is. Like, and I just think, if you can kind of ground yourself in the sense of this is a fun game that I get to play, that's something that has helped the younger kids too as well, because it's just, all the social media and stuff we've already talked about and gone into detail on. It's just, some of these athletes are seeing all these highlight reels and all these things that they feel like they have to live up to. It's just like, no, like, come in here, tie your shoes up, let's listen to them squeak on that wood floor, and let's have a fun workout. Like, that is what it should be. And I think I feel bad for a lot of the younger kids who feel so much pressure of all the different things, because it's just like this should be something that you use to get away from all that. And so that's kind of been another main focus. Sorry, it's a long-winded response, but I get passionate about, the young people, and I want them to feel that, joy of just playing a sport. It's just, it should be fun. And I'm trying to give them a place where they feel like it's fun. What kind of music you want to listen to? Let's do it. Let's throw it on. Let's listen to some jams and practice our ball handling. It's just, it can be that simple. And I think that's kind of what I'm focused on as well is just keeping it simple and basics. I don't do a whole lot of like cone stuff or two ball dribbling. I'm one ball. Let's work on handling with one ball and simple stuff like that. Just trying to create something that they enjoy and they have fun with and get to jam out and laugh and go spend the rest of the day in the sun.
Compare that mindset, talking about basketball being fun, to where you were at, sort of that first month coming back off of your foot injury, playing basketball, where you and I know we had talks where basketball wasn't fun for you. Compare where your mindset and your mental health is now compared to what you went through and how you grew through that experience.
Yeah, I would just say that it was a very like hard time, and I remember texting you so vividly, Mo, and being like, this is supposed to be fun and it's not fun. Like it's not. And I just remember, I felt so understood by you because I mean, one, you always give the best advice, but two, just you were always just saying like, how do we find that love again? And I just appreciate you as well through that whole process, and that. But um, just you were always so willing to listen and say, what are the things that you can do to get yourself back to that place? And I think you just gave me so much insight on. You're right, like why am I focusing so heavily on why is this not fun? How do I now transition it back to let's try and make it fun again? And you would text me all the time, after a decent game and you'd be like, "So was that fun?" And I'm like, "You know what, Mo, that was fun." Like, just things like that and obviously just I can't say enough about you and just your support and your friendship and how much you mean to me and just everything that you've done and been there for and just I can't ask for a better friendship and just appreciate you so much for all that you are and you're the best and that, but outwardly you are the best. You are the best. So just I can't say enough about how much you helped through that as well.
Well, it goes in both directions. Amazing how God brought us together at different points in our life. When I was going through my hospital scare, you were part of that journey. You were part of my motivation to get better, keep working to find find that fun again too with basketball. So it's everything you said. I reciprocate back right back to you. You've meant a huge part of my life too. I do want to ask you though, how do you define success?
Oh, that's a tough one, Mo. Um, I think right now, for where I'm at in my life, I have just realized that success isn't necessarily based off of like the tangible kind of things, the numbers, the stats, those things. It's more based off of how do you feel. Um, just in a lot of conversations recently, the reoccurring theme is like in life, how many people can you disappoint without disappointing yourself? I think a lot of times I've been really caught up in like trying to make sure I'm keeping this person happy or is this what this person wants me to do? And I think at the end of the day, it is your life and how you choose to live it and what things make you feel happy and make you feel good is like that would be more important and make you feel more successful than any number amount or like different tangible things that we're talking about. But I just think, right now where I'm at, I think I would define success with being like, what things can I do to make my life feel like I'm living it for me and being happy and doing the things that make me feel happy and the success and the other things and the support from people who really care about you, that'll all come. But yeah, I would say success would be just choosing to do what makes you feel fulfilled. And even when that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do or the best thing to do or what everybody else wants you to do, like just kind of living your life for you and what makes you feel your fullest, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's kind
Makes
of where I'm
perfect
at.
sense. Yeah, makes perfect sense. All right, just few closing questions here. Favorite MSU game?
Ooh. Oh gosh, there's so many. Um, I don't even know the total I played in. It was like 137 or something
Most
crazy,
games,
but
yeah. So actually, we never touched on that. More games than anyone in MSU women's basketball history, right?
yes, so that is a record that I don't know will be touched for a little bit, but that's what happens when you're old, I guess. But um I mean, what sticks out in my mind was this past season at Michigan. I mean, it was like a 30 point just I mean, it was I don't know that I've ever been a part of just we just caught fire and it was just I mean, it was ridiculous and obviously we lost to them at home and that was pretty disappointing, but that game does stick out pretty vividly of just like holy crap, we cannot miss. It was just this person, that person, we're spraying the ball to each other. That was just fun. I mean, I remember that bus ride home was just like, holy crap, like that was our third win in a row and against them and we were feeling good and it's always good to beat them. So that game sticks out to me for sure. And then um that'd probably be one of my top ones, if not my top one.
All right. Favorite pregame ritual?
Oh, so I'm pretty superstitious, but more with just routine stuff. So
Yep.
before every game, we would there's a little chant we do in the tunnel. It's basically the fight song, and then at the end, it's a couple things that I won't say on here,
That's
but it's
right.
just a couple ad libs. But that's probably my favorite. It just feels like so good, and you feel all fired up with your girls, and it's just yeah, it's a good moment, and just kind of right before you go out, you get right at the end, you just all scream together, and it's just you get that out of your system, and it's fun. That's probably my favorite one for sure.
All right. A favorite or meaningful tattoo?
Oh, oh, I have a few, but I don't know if you can see super
Yep.
well, but I have these are all my grandparents' initials. So it's my mom's mom, my mom's dad, and my dad's mom. So that was actually my first one. That was actually the one that I said was going to be my only one, but we all
Been
know
there,
how
done
that
that. Yep.
goes.
Been there, done
But
that, and have many more that have followed. Yep.
yeah, so that's my first one. It's probably my favorite because just I like where it's at. It's kind of unique and different. And then this is my sister's handwriting. It just says "Love you, sister." It's just I don't know. I love my sister so much. She's literally my best friend in the entire world. So it's just like a little tribute to her and how awesome she is. And then I can move this, but this just says "Love you to pieces, Muma." It's my mom. It's just cute little. It's from a note from her. She was so mad I did that, but she likes it now. And then this is just family 4016. So like we talked about earlier with the 40 stuff, and then actually me and my twin were born on January 16th, and then the younger set of twins were February 16th. So it's kind of a little date thing there. And then this just says be where your feet are, just be present. Um, Kind of like we're talking about, just wherever you are in that moment, being there and being, you know, present with all that you are in that moment. So that's kind of, I wouldn't say that was one, but they're kind of all in a line, so maybe
Yep.
they count as one. I don't know, but
I'll give you
yeah, that's
that.
my
I'll give you.
favorite.
Yep. I'll give you that. All right. One word or one sentence to describe your MSU career.
um, I would say two words would be worth it. It was
Oh,
like
nice.
every single thing that happened, every hard thing, every hard challenge, all of it was worth it. And then also, I do want to say this. Um, I've been thinking a lot just about different things that I've heard people say, and Steph, she's a big, long time MSU fan, sits right
Yes.
behind the
Yes. Yep.
bench.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stephanie,
Everyone knows Stephanie. Yep.
oh yeah, she every time I see Steph, she says, "Lucky me." She always says like she'll say something and tell a story, and then she'll be like, "Lucky me," and I'm like, imagine if like I could have that perspective on everything. It's kind of the same thing I'm talking about earlier to wrap it all back in, but life's happening for you, not to you. Like Steph will say, "Lucky me," to anything, and it's just like every time she says it, I'm so just touched and like I'm just like that is such a good like lucky me. Like this just happened, lucky me. Like, and I love that she says that, and I love getting to hear her say that, and just appreciate again her for kind of giving me that outlook. And I love her to death, and she's amazing. So I love that as well. That'd be another one that I would use to describe kind of my career, would be lucky me. I got to do all this and I got to experience it. So
Those
I
are
would say that.
oh yeah, those are two beautiful ones. And honestly, this sort of ties right into that. Maybe one piece of advice that you would give to your freshman self going back.
Yeah. Um, Honestly, going into college, I was super, super nervous about just like it's different environment, new people, living away from home, all the things. So just kind of like if I could go back and tell myself that you're gonna meet the best people ever here and you're gonna meet lifelong friends and all the things, I wish I could just go back and say like this is gonna be awesome. Like just talk to everybody and make friends and do all the things and just trust it because it's going to be great. So I think that's what I would say is just get excited about the people you're going to get to meet.
Now, before actually we sign off, I do want to give you the opportunity, and I'll make sure we also get this up on the screen for those that are watching on video. But if someone is interested in supporting you or are signing up for one of your clinics or having one of their kids or relatives, whatever it may be, how can somebody find more information? Do you have some social media handles? Where can people go to get all the info?
Yeah, thank you, Mo. I appreciate it.
Uh,
I have a website. It's 40for40basketball.com. So that's probably the easiest way right now. There's a link to my Calendly to sign up on there. There's all my social medias are 40for40basketball as well on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Trying to get into more Facebook groups, so that's kind of in the work right now. And then just have a camp on August 16th coming up here at South Lansing Christian Church. So trying to get some more people signed up for that as well. Really excited about that. It's blocked off into different age groups, so it's about 2 hours for each kid that would show up depending on their age group. And then that'll be in a couple weeks here, so coming up pretty quick. So looking forward to that. And then trainings and everything can be booked on my website and through Calendly. It's an app. It's kind of like It's not Google Calendar, but it's just like a scheduling app. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. And been posting some reels and different things on Instagram. So trying to grow my social media a little bit here, Mo. Just a little.
Oh, of course. Well, and also anyone, if you want looking for some sponsorship opportunities, I'm sure that's definitely open too. I do want to say, because I thought about this beforehand, when you say 40 for 40, so that's 40 and then FOR 40. So 40 for
Yep.
40. Don't want people to get confused on that one.
No, I
40
appreciate that. Thank you.
FOR 40 is your 40 for 40. So thank you, Julia. Honestly, I could sit here and talk to you just forever. There's so many things that you and I just still even just need to catch up on and share with each other. Such an amazing friend, such a special person that's definitely touched my life for the better. I want to thank you for being here, for sharing your journey with honesty, with your whole heart. Your story is a powerful reminder that the impact we leave goes far beyond the scoreboard. So for our listeners, please stay tuned to our next episode where we'll explore more pivotal moment with extraordinary guests. But until then, remember to always cherish every moment, embrace the stories that shape our lives, and it's not the diagnosis that determines your outcome. Thanks for listening and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Mo.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of One Mo Moment. We hope you were inspired by the incredible stories and insights shared today. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Don't miss our upcoming episodes where we'll continue to explore the pivotal moments that shape extraordinary lives. Stay tuned for more inspiring guests, powerful stories, and valuable lessons that will motivate and move you. Join us next time for another unforgettable One Mo Moment. Until then, remember it's not the diagnosis that determines your outcome.